we're going to go over the 12 forms of value. The 12 forms of value. All right. Now, first off, we have products. Now, a product is a object that you're going to sell to multiple people. You want to produce it as cheap as possible and sell it for as high as you can. Now, that of course goes into the market rate and the standard go rate of what the price is for that specific product type. Now, the thing is, it does not have to be a physical product. It could be like a PDF, it could be a document, it could be a movie. A movie that also counts as a product. But it's a simple thing that you create that you're going to want to sell to as many people as possible. And this is really good for scaling because you want to make it as cheap as possible so you can make a lot of them to sell as much as you possibly can, because you're going to be dishing out to a lot of people. The thing is, with technology and the internet nowadays, documents and PDF files or even songs, they can be cloned. So that is the cheapest you can make something at all. If you make one picture, clone it like a million times, you can sell it a lot. So that's why products have the highest ceiling for scalability. So you can scale really well as your products are. Now, about products, you want to make sure you're keeping enough inventory on hand so you don't run out. But like I said, if you're selling a digital product, so like on the internet, that kind of solves that problem. There are digital products that people will pay for, but there are certain caveats, and by and large, it is pretty good because you don't have to create anything. A lot of people aren't inventing anything nowadays in their basement. Some people are, but it's just not by and large, not a lot of people. Alright, so let's go to your product. It's very simple, and you see it every time you go to the grocery store. Next up is going to be service. Service is you provide people with a service. You help them solve a need. You help them get a want. A service could be a janitor. It could be security guard, fast food. That is a service place. You provide people for a service for a certain set amount of money. You want to make sure that it is provided at the highest quality that you can provide at, and with dignity still kept intact. There's a lot that goes into the presentation of service because you want to look professional, you want to look neat, and preferably you're providing a service with the highest quality possible. You want them to think that they're getting the better of the deal. So that's why you want your service to be more than acceptable, because they're forking over money to you. They're paying money because what you have or what you can provide is much more valuable than their own money. Number 3, subscription. Subscription, probably a very easy way to make a lot of money fast. So subscriptions are very sustainable because people pay a certain amount of money every month, as I'm sure you know. But they pay a certain amount of money every month to receive a good or product that you offer, or access to something like Netflix, a lot of streaming services. Services are really good for long-term stability. Now, the goal is going to be you want to keep viewers coming back to pay every single month. Now, it does make it difficult a lot, especially for streaming services nowadays. But you want to sell your community or service. Service is a one-time thing. A subscription, that's going to be perpetual and over a long course of time. So you have to think, ask yourself, what are the things that I can do to get people to come back and pay for this next month? A monthly subscription, maybe give them perks every month. Movie subscriptions, they have new movies every single month. That's a good way to do that. A lot of people pay for library cards. That's a form of subscription. So actually, we can even write down some examples where we have library card, streaming service. They offer new things. There's always going to be new books, exclusive clubs. Oh, there's even food services. HelloFresh. That's a subscription. You receive a new thing every single month. So that's going to keep them coming back month after month. And you make sure you get your money's worth and keep your customers happy. You don't want an unhappy customer because then they're going to leave and stop the subscription. Now, number 4 is shared resource. So shared resource is going to be something that you have that other people are going to pay for to use, but not just one person, multiple people at a single time. So gym is a great example of a shared resource. It is a building you have, that's how you make your money, and people pay you to come and use the building and come out. Now, the most important thing with this is to retain the value. So gyms need to be maintained, they need to be cleaned, but it is worth it to get customers to come back because they must deem the value of the shared resource enough that they're going to pay money for it. Another example is an Airbnb, because it's people paying rent. I suppose rent could be under subscription, couldn't it? But shared resource, because you're letting it out to this specific person at this time, they use it for a certain amount of time, or however long they want, and then different people will come back. So again, you're going to keep an Airbnb or a house, a shared resource like that, very good quality. Library, like I just said with subscription, is another good example of a shared resource. So keep that in mind. The thing also with shared resources is going to be where to find a sweet spot in the amount of users. Because too many users decreases the value of it. So if too many people are in the gym, people are not going to want to use it. There's a lot of expensive gyms, if you've been to any of them, where you notice the people paying $200 for a gym membership, they're not just paying just because they don't feel like it, or just because they feel like it. They're not paying $200. They're paying for the quality. It's because you realize when you charge $200 to go into a gym, that's not a lot of people. Not a lot of people have $200 to go to the gym. So it's going to be cleaner, fresher, quieter, and less crowded. So the value is actually going up. So you want to find a good sweet spot between the money amount, find a sweet spot between mediocre and top tier. Number 5 is going to be resale, aka dropshipping. Now, dropshipping was very big back in 2016 and 2018. Around that time, a lot of people were dropshippers. Dropshipping isn't what it used to be, but it is still a market that you can seize control over. You just need to understand the right levers to pull. So back in 2023, when my brother and I, we started our dropshipping company, we had a lot of orders and a very broad selection of topics, because it can be very tempting to sell everything that is hot, everything that's trendy. But the thing is, when it comes to any business, but dropshipping especially, you really need to niche down your product, because it can be tempting to sell the hottest thing, like I said. But if you're too broad, too vague, people will sort of see through it and see this is just dropshipping, I can get this elsewhere. Alibaba, AliExpress, companies like that, they sell things to Americans, and the Americans will sell it to other Americans for a higher price. So you buy something for $3, you sell it for $9, that's $6 profit. Now, the thing is, there also is a lot of other factors that go into it, like namely, you need to pay for a website, you need to pay for advertising, but the products don't always advertise themselves. You can actually advertise them organically without paying for ads. Reselling it can be good when done properly. It's just very particular. Now, number 6 is going to be lease. You acquire an asset and then sell it to other people. Same thing with shared resources. You want to maintain the quality of it and protect yourself from other people who might want to damage it. The difference with lease, however, is that this is used for a specific set amount of time. So you're going to lease somebody, and of course, the most common example is a car. You've got a lease, you're using it, you're essentially borrowing it, and then you're going to give it back. What you want to do is keep the leased object in tip-top condition. The benefits for the customer is that they can use the object without having to actually buy it for a reduced price than what you normally get it for. So instead of $30K, they can use it for $3K, which is significantly better. So it's very good, and it's very appealing to a lot of people who want to use a certain product or service but don't actually feel like paying for it. Number 7 is agency. Agencies are misunderstood, and I didn't understand them a lot when I first got into business, but an agency is you are essentially advertising someone else's business for them. What you do is you connect a business looking for potential customers to potential customers. The thing is, a lot of companies, they do their own marketing, but they don't do their own outreach. And the thing is, because you specialize in reaching out to people and getting clients for this company, the company will pay you money because you are an agency. You bring people in that they can then sell things to. So you're very valuable actually to 2 different types of people. You're going to be talking to potential clients of the said company, and the company is going to basically hire you as a hitman to bring in people. Now, some are paid on commission. Paid on commission is very good because you're paid on the amount of effort and value you bring rather than just a standard rate. But some agencies are actually hired for a certain amount of time, and they do make annual. Another thing is that you want to see the potential clients as your friend. So what they do is they actually notify customers when there is a good deal with the company. Now, that's not bad at all because you're getting the company a sale. Next is audience aggregation. So the thing is, a lot of people don't think about this, especially I didn't when I was a kid. Audience aggregation is similar to agency. You are gathering attention. It's quite literally the name. You're aggregating an audience of people in front of a thing. And once you have all this attention, well, what is attention good for? It is good for selling people on things. So, most notably, the TV. The television is a great invention. The Idiot Box is a fantastic invention because you now have all these people looking at you. Okay, they're all watching me. What can I do? Well, I can run ads. People will actually, if I have a bunch of people somewhere, all eyes on me, a company is going to pay you money. Hey, can you run my advertisement to all those people? And the thing is, like with agency, you can do the audience aggregation better than they can. That's why they're paying you. I think YouTube makes its money. YouTube is free. A lot of it is. So you might wonder where they make the money. They're making the money from the other companies. And YouTube, people like that, they run ads. Google runs people's ads. They put their websites there. So, audience aggregation. Loan is number 9. Loan is quite very simple. You lend other people money or a thing for a certain amount of interest that you get over time. Now, interest is not a bad thing because you're paying for money. But some people might just be like, that doesn't make any sense. But it really does because it is a service. You are providing something, the money. The thing is just the loan is you need to pay it back over a certain amount of time or else they're going to charge you. As I'm sure some of you guys out there are subject to and aware of the effects of a loan. And if you don't pay that back, they're going to get you. Now, number 10 is opt-in. Now, opt-in is where the customer pays for a reserved spot in a certain upcoming event. So, that's not that day. So, like for instance, movie tickets, basketball tickets, concert tickets, tickets of any kind, because you're paying for a spot and you opt in of your own free will. So you're paying for a seat. You later can then go in, get that seat, and it is up to the individual to actually go and follow up and get what they paid for. So that's also really good. It's also been around for a long time. Just a simple concept of paying for a ticket or a reserved slot to get in somewhere. Insurance, I'm sure, needs no introduction, but I will say one anyway, because there are a lot of people out there who don't understand. And the insurance company is, you're paying a company to pay for any damage that happens to you, your house, or your car. Life insurance, all those things like that. So the way it works, the reason it works is because not just one person does it. Many people pay, they put money. Imagine everyone puts money in this giant pile. And this person gets into a car accident. Well, then you use the rest of this money to then pay this person. And you might be wondering, well, where do they get their money back? They only get their money. The customers only get their money if something bad happens. So, The business model runs on the fact that you're hoping not every single person who pays you gets into a car crash. That is why some people actually, under the table, they'll crash their own car to get a payment from the bank. But there's a whole lot of stipulations with it. There's certain things you can go through, and there's certain things that you outline, certain conditions where if your house burns down, there's certain causes that they won't pay for, but under certain they will. So you can sort of protect yourself from people like that. And lastly is going to be capital, the purchase of a share of a company, and you now own part of that company yourself. And the thing is, the more of it you buy, the more pull and say you get with the company in terms of making decisions and being higher up the ladder. It's very appealing for a lot of people with a lot of money already because you're gaining capital, and buying stocks is a sort of form of that. It's good for people with a lot of resources to invest. And it's also good for the company because they are getting more money to turn into more money. So the board of investors, they want to make sure that their money is being spent well. So they give it to a company. And that company benefits from it because they now have more capital to do more things with, to generate more money to give to their investors. And they benefit from that. So it's a win-win in this situation. The investor wins when the company wins. Now, that is the last one. These are the 12 forms of value. Like I said, there is no one way to get rich. There's, as you can see, there's millions of ways to get rich. It's just all about your vehicle. No one of these is any better than the others because they each have their highs, they each have the lows, they each have their perks. But it is simply about how you like doing business with people that determines which form of value that you should provide to people.